April 13th, 2025, a mother named Ludmila posted a video that rapidly captured the attention of thousands of curious viewers. She had brought her daughter out to a park that afternoon, a place with barely anyone else around. Nothing about the outing seemed out of the ordinary at first. Then her little girl started interacting with what she described as a new friend, pointing and chattering away at someone no one else appeared to be able to see.
¿A quién estás amacando? Mira. Pero yo no veo a nadie ahí, Loli. Veo a la hamaca sola. Pero yo estoy jugando con mi amigo Pili. ¿Qué, la conociste acá en la plaza? Bueno, mi amor, jugá.
With the pure openness only a child can have, the girl happily explains that she's been playing with her new companion. Ludmila tells her she can't see anybody there, and sure enough, there's no other child in sight. The moment that really stops you in your tracks is when the little girl heads back to the swing and starts pushing it as though she's genuinely playing alongside someone. Yet the camera makes it perfectly clear that nobody is there. A lot of viewers have suggested the swing's movement could simply be the wind, but plenty of others lean toward a very different explanation. There's a widespread belief that young children are far more attuned to spiritual presences than adults, capable of perceiving things we've long since lost the ability to sense. If there's any truth to that, then the real question is, who exactly was that little girl spending her afternoon with? This clip starts out like any other ordinary shift at a manufacturing plant. A female employee casually pans her camera around the floor, capturing her colleagues as they carry out their duties. Between the roar of the machines and everyone's attention fixed on their jobs, there's nothing to suggest anything is off. But once the footage is reviewed, something deeply unsettling emerges, something nobody in that building registered in the moment. High above the production floor, perched silently on a metal beam overlooking the workers below, is a long-haired woman dressed head to toe in white, sitting completely motionless and staring down at the scene beneath her. The chaos of the factory floor doesn't seem to affect her in the slightest. Not a single worker appears to notice her up there, not even the woman holding the camera. The figure, which many believe to be a spirit, stays fixed in that same position for the entire duration of the recording, leaving behind one deeply unsettling question. How could anyone, or anything, be sitting that high up without a single person catching on? Avery Jones is a passionate wanderer who travels from place to place, never staying in one spot for long. While spending time in Costa Rica, she decided to take a late-night stroll down to the beach. That plan came to an abrupt halt though, when an eerie sound cut through the darkness around her.
This noise is literally getting closer, as if it's like right outside the gate. Is that an angry gorilla? It's coming from right over there. That's the way you gotta walk to the beach. And I was gonna take a nice walk over there this morning to the beach. I'm not going over there now. Because what the fuck is that? It's fucking terrifying. Whatever can make that noise can probably rip my fucking face off. But it's been making that noise. Oh my god. What is that?
A chilling howl shattered the quiet of the night, sending Avery into a panic. There are those who think it could be Bigfoot, the legendary ape-like creature rumored to stalk dense forests and leave behind massive footprints as its only trace. Others are convinced it was simply a howler monkey, a jungle-dwelling animal famous for its thunderous, far-carrying cry. Whatever was lurking out there that night, it's safe to say it's the last thing you'd want to encounter alone in pitch black darkness. A woman found herself alone at home one afternoon when she began picking up on something she couldn't quite explain.
There's Magnolia. I'm home alone. It's like 3:40 in the afternoon, and I am hearing constant walking. I was in the downstairs bathroom that you walk down the stairs in, and I heard walking on the stairs, and it was either the basement.
She says it was right around 3 in the afternoon when she started picking up on what seemed like the sound of someone pacing up and down the staircase.
Catch anything. That's crazy. I just heard whispering behind me. Did you hear that? Jeez, that was my stomach, but I heard whispering behind my head. I feel like Magnolia always comes around too when things are sensed because she always shows up. It's crazy. Let me see if she looks anywhere. That's the spot that I get creeped out at night.
Unsettled but determined, she headed downstairs to see what was going on. Then, out of nowhere, she heard whispering directly behind her, and that was enough to send a chill straight through her.
And I also don't like the area over here between when I walk from my bathroom and I have to walk like through here. For some reason the area to the right gives me a bad feeling every time that I walk by in the night.
Every single time. Desperate for answers, she moved through the house, pointing out the specific spots where these unsettling experiences kept occurring.
Someone walking out here. Let's see if we see anything.
Then, the footsteps came again. She was absolutely convinced someone else was there. She ran to check, but not a single soul was anywhere to be found.
It's crazy. I'm gonna open the stairs to see. I hear anything. Damn. Of course it's cool. There's Magnolia again. Are you checking out Magnolia? Like a brightness on the left. Okay, I don't usually like to walk up here, but I'm gonna check it out. And actually,
determined to find the source of the sounds, she headed upstairs and searched every room.
I'm gonna close this because I opened it and they lost the past 2 games. So Saber's rule, Y2K, I'm closing it. I'm gonna close this. Listen for anything. I didn't even realize that. I have had this open and they've lost the past 2 games. So, we're gonna shut this. Crazy. Shut this right up because, wow, I cannot believe that I may have caused that bad energy or helped it anyways. Okay, let's see if we hear anything else.
She slowly scanned the living room, ears tuned to any sound at all, but the place had gone completely dead quiet.
Now the dogs are barking. Awesome. Okay, I'm going back downstairs. I'm go over this. Okay.
That was her signal to leave. Just as things seemed to be settling down, the dogs on the lower floor erupted into a frenzy of barking. Sure that something was seriously off, she hurried back downstairs to investigate. When she later posted the footage online, her viewers had plenty of theories to offer. One commenter claimed they could see the window curtains shifting in the background. Someone else said they felt a dark, negative presence radiating throughout the entire home. So, what do you think was actually going on? Tara was left shaken and bewildered when her stepfather confronted her about a male voice he kept hearing near her, even though she swore nobody else was around.
He goes, "Who's there with you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Who's there with you?" I was like, "No one, why?" And he's like, "Who's that guy talking?" I'm like, "I'm here completely alone. What do you mean?" He's like, "There's a man talking, like just as loud as you right now."
She had relocated to a new place with the hope of leaving behind the unsettling presence that had been trailing her ever since she was a child. But her deepest fear was now staring her in the face. Something or someone had followed her there.
Weird-ish thing to note is I've been hearing like loud noises. Am I fucking... That's Jackie. Oh my god, thank god. Oh my god, Jackie! I'm sorry, dude. You just scared the holy shit out of me. Oh, bad news. There's new scratches. Again, these are on the outside of the windows, and I'm on the second floor. You can tell me what you think it says. Let me get a good angle here. I don't know what it says, but it looks like it's like 4 letters maybe. Again, this is on the outside of the window, you can see. Second floor. But I'll show you, these are definitely on the outside of the window because I can wipe it.
Mid-conversation, a cabinet door directly behind her swung open without anyone touching it, and a faint scratching noise caught her attention. When she investigated, she found scratch marks etched into the window pane. At first, she assumed they'd been made from inside since that part of the room was easy enough to access, but that assumption quickly fell apart. The marks were on the exterior of the glass. The window sat several floors off the ground, making it virtually impossible to reach without a very tall ladder. Tara was convinced this was the very same presence that had shadowed her throughout her childhood, announcing itself by moving objects and carving marks into surfaces. Some of her viewers urged her to take a closer look at the markings, wondering if they might spell out some kind of hidden message. Could the entity actually be trying to tell her something? Was she really being hunted by that same force from her past? Or was there something even more complicated going on? To this day, Tara. On April 2nd, 2025, a woman named Diana and her brother were at home when their backyard was suddenly flooded with police vehicles. Frightened and bewildered, they tried to figure out what was going on.
One cop car out there already.
There's one that now there's... Looks like there's another one.
There's another one? Oh shit, you're right.
Oh, what the hell?
What the hell is... Here.
Look, I was telling you, there was... The light was on.
He's not coming out. They're doing a check.
Oh, okay.
The officers seemed to be focused on the trailer sitting in the backyard, which suggested something serious was unfolding inside. Diana explained that the trailer belonged to her father, who had been renting it out to a tenant. That tenant, however, hadn't been seen by anyone in over a week, which had prompted authorities to show up and conduct a welfare check. What Diana and her brother didn't yet know was that the man had already died inside the trailer. They had no idea why the police were there until that grim detail was revealed to them. As they made their way outside to get closer and piece together what was happening, their camera caught something deeply unsettling. See for yourself what they recorded.
Wait, they're going up to Tom's place. So wait, you said the light wasn't off?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew that something was going on. That's a lot of cops.
Holy shit, what the hell?
Why are they looking through the window?
Oh my god, they're calling.
Yeah, they're coming out.
Are they calling something in?
Yeah.
Going back over. What was Tom doing?
Is there like an app you can check or something to figure out?
Oh, Jesus. I was okay.
Just hanging.
A dark shadow figure, appearing to resemble a small boy, can be spotted near one of the police vehicles. Diana and her brother both said they noticed nothing like that at the time and were confident the only people present were the officers. Yet whatever it is shows up clearly on the footage, and strangely, it seems to vanish in an instant behind one of the policemen, only to reappear briefly before disappearing once more. A few days after that eerie encounter, Diana went back into the trailer alongside her father to take a look around, and that's when things took a horrifying turn.
Well, you probably know what the deal with the situation was here. Oh. You brought your phone?
Yeah. Okay.
Get ready. Could be a little smelly.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh my god. Jeez. Oh my god. Oh my god. What was that?
I don't know. Just ignore that.
Oh, fuck.
Come on. Back in. What are you waiting for?
Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you're right. It is freaking musty in here. Jeez. Okay.
What? Your phone?
Yeah, it's for TikTok. Whoa. Wait a minute. Oh, fuck. Jesus. Wait, did this guy have a kid? What is this?
Yeah, this kid died too, like, I don't know, before. A long time ago.
Oh my god. I think this is where they found him. Like, I used to want to be a mortician, and morticians would have to come and probably do clear out. And he died here all alone. There's no way I can get through there. Oh.
A dead crow suddenly fell from the ceiling, sending Diana into a panic. But the truly disturbing discovery came when she learned that the man who had died in the trailer had also lost a child not long before his own passing. After examining some handprints inside, she became convinced they matched those of a young boy, which lined up disturbingly well with the dark, childlike figure they had witnessed the night the police arrived. There was also a child's toy that inexplicably switched on by itself. Diana's conclusion is that the figure they captured on camera was the spirit of the man's son, lingering there and waiting for his father to finally join him. But as always, I'd love to hear what you think. Man working alone in a tight little maintenance garage right next to a cemetery has been filming something that appears to be escalating every single time he returns. The space is cluttered with tools, aging equipment, and a bright orange riding mower parked toward the back. But recently, it started to feel like he's not the only one in there. He's recorded unexplained sounds, foul odors, objects hitting the ground with no apparent reason, and an atmosphere so oppressive that he describes the garage as if it's actively trying to keep him from leaving. It all kicked off after he'd locked up for the evening, killed the lights, and was heading out, when he heard what he could only describe as laughter coming from somewhere near that old mower. Not ordinary laughter, something detached, wrong, and close enough that he immediately spun around. Rattled, he pulled out his phone and went back inside to capture it.
Right, so I was just closing this up, like just locking it up to head out, and I closed the bay, and I was closing this door. I shut the lights off, getting ready to close this door, and heard, I swear, I heard a laugh. And it was the most unnerving, and it was such a weird laugh. It sounded like it was coming from that back mower, like something was sitting on that back mower. I should have left it alone. I don't even know what that was, where it came from, where it went. But I'm not sticking around to find out, so I'm out of here. Screw this. I'm out of here.
While he's still explaining what he heard, a violent metallic bang erupts from just off frame. The sound is sharp and heavy, ringing out across the concrete. Yet when he scans the room, everything looks undisturbed. No toppled object, no identifiable source, nothing that accounts for the impact. His breathing shifts almost immediately, and the fear bleeds into his voice as he retreats toward the exit and gets himself out. For plenty of viewers, that crash alone would have been the end of it, but this was just the start. He eventually came back for a live stream in the same garage, and right from the beginning, he kept describing a nauseating smell he couldn't place, something like sulfur crossed with rot. That detail lands even harder when you consider that the garage sits right alongside a cemetery, with a church steeple visible past the headstones through the rear window. Then, mid-conversation with his audience, everything shifted.
Good evening from Australia. Hey Rachel, good evening. I appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, maybe put phone away from Rich. Yeah, I don't want to come back to a broken phone. Please go get some fries. Yeah, I'm gonna go out. Oh God, it smells almost like a skunk mixed with decay and eggs or something. Ask a priest to bless this place. Yeah, actually, I'll show you guys quick. If you could see, there's actually a church right over there on the other side of the fence. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's not affiliated with the cemetery, but are you working alone? Yes. I run this place alone. Hello, Caroline. Thank you, I appreciate it. Oh God, that smell. It's like right in front. Oh my God. All right, guys. All right, I don't want to get into that. All right, guys, I gotta go.
His phone was abruptly smacked out of his grip by something invisible. The camera tumbles, cracks against the concrete, and the screen cuts to black. When he recovers it, the composure in his voice is completely gone, and within moments he shuts the stream down. That sulfur-like odor is also worth dwelling on, because across countless paranormal accounts and supernatural traditions, the scent of rotten eggs or sulfur tends to be associated with something dark, hostile, or outright malevolent. A smell obviously can't be verified on camera, but it's the kind of detail that keeps surfacing in the same location. So he went back a third time. It was around dusk, after he claimed to spot a glowing orb drifting past the garage window. He unlocked the door, stepped in with his phone already rolling, and the disturbances started almost immediately.
Alright, so I just pulled in. As I was just backing in, I saw either I don't know, some kind of light was in front of this window, and it wasn't like the lights were on in there. It was like a flashlight or I don't know what it was, but I want to start recording as soon as I get it. It was definitely that window. And it wasn't all the light. It wasn't all the lights. All the lights weren't on. It was like I don't know if it was a flashlight or it was like, I don't know. It was like a little ball of light, but it was also had like rays or beams coming from like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like a flashlight shine. Or flashlight shine or something. Good morning. And I see this is on the ground here too. So that somehow fell from there to there by itself overnight. I don't know why it's always this window. I don't know what is the significance with that window. Good morning. No, I had somebody in one of the lives who said he was a medium and swore he was watching a older man in overalls working at this bench during my live. But that's where that rotten egg smell was emanating from, was that spot over there. So I have no idea if it's related or not, but I had no idea what that ball of light or whatever that light source was. That's why I want to get a camera in here. Keep it recording 24/7.
Two separate crashes occur while he's standing inside. After the first, he discovers a sledgehammer lying flat on the concrete, swearing it had been propped on a wooden table just moments earlier. Then, a second loud clatter erupts from another corner of the garage. Each time, he addresses the empty space directly, measured but visibly on edge, as though he's already convinced that whatever is in there can hear him. He also mentions that during a previous live stream, a viewer who identified themselves as a medium claimed to see a man in overalls standing at the workbench, the exact spot where the sulfur smell was reportedly at its worst. He admits there's no way to verify it, but given everything else he's documented, he can't bring himself to brush it off. And then, things took their most unsettling turn yet, because the activity stopped being confined to the garage. Back at his own home, while moving through the living room with his phone recording, he was trying to capture what sounded like footsteps on the basement stairs. What he got instead was something far more disturbing.
Guys, so I just was hearing the walking on the basement steps again. I want to see if I catch it. See if it does it again. It was 4 times. I don't know if it was up, down. It sounded like up, down, up, down. It was literally right as I was making coffee. I started hearing it, and it was just, like I said, I heard it 4 times. No, it's not gonna do it. I was making the coffee, I swore I heard knocking on this door.
A slotted spoon comes flying in from off-screen and skids loudly across the kitchen floor. He goes completely still. Just before that moment, strange animal-like grunts and thick, wet snorting sounds can be heard in the room. Nothing around him seems capable of producing them. This is the point where the whole situation starts feeling less like ambient strangeness and more like classic poltergeist behavior. Creaking doors, settling walls, and rattling pipes can usually be rationalized away. But an object being hurled across a kitchen with clear force and trajectory is a much harder thing to explain. Then came the encounter that seemed to unsettle him more deeply than anything prior. He returned to the garage at dusk and says he saw a hazy gray shape, roughly human in form, standing inside with its back to him. When he shouted, the figure collapsed inward and disappeared, almost as if it were being drawn into a single invisible point. He described it as being pulled into a pinhole. Still shaken, he began recording shortly after and tried to walk through what he'd just witnessed. Pay close attention to what happens next.
I just had something that I cannot explain. I just saw somebody. I literally just saw somebody. I came in, did my normal, Jesus Christ. I came in, did my normal stuff, opened the doors, turned the lights on, set my bag, oh Jesus. Set my bag and coffee over there, came and opened this bay door, turned around, and there was somebody standing there with their back to me. And my reaction, like, at first I was like, hey, like greeting somebody, but then like instantly I realized there's not supposed to be anybody else here. So it turned to like a, hey, and then like a scream. I have not yelled like that. And I can't remember the last time I yelled like that. And when I yelled, this thing just like vanished into itself, like it was sucked into a little pinhole, like it just shoo. And it had its back to me, but it looked like it was slightly starting to turn its head when I yelled. And it was a man, but it was not like dark or like a black shadow. It was like grayish. It was like a misty gray, but I could make out that it was a male. And it, holy, I was literally right in front of this mower. Because like I said, I opened that bay and looked, and it just, oh my God. I need cameras in here. I swear, I was not further than that. Not further than this mower here. You're not welcome here. Any negative or evil spirits, You're not welcome. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. He protects me. His light shines around me and my property and my space. You're not allowed here. You're not allowed to follow me home. You're not allowed to attach to me. You're not welcome. Please find your peace. The Lord's light surrounds me and everywhere I go.
While he's still mid-sentence describing the figure vanishing, a hacksaw crashes onto the concrete somewhere to his right. The sharp clang cuts him off completely. He stands frozen for a beat, then turns his attention directly toward whatever might be sharing that space with him, telling it plainly that it isn't welcome and that it has no right to follow him home. His voice is unsteady as he says it. The figure he described is unusual because it doesn't fit the standard shadow person profile. It wasn't solid black, it was gray, hazy, and distinctly human in outline, convincing enough that his first instinct was that a real person had gotten inside. Some of his viewers believe it could be a manifestation tied to the adjacent cemetery. Others think the garage itself may be holding on to something from long ago. But whatever is unfolding in that building, perhaps the most chilling detail is simply that he keeps returning. And after the crashes, the hurled objects, the sulfur stench, the disembodied sounds, and that dissolving gray figure, one thing is impossible to argue with. Whatever occupies that garage shows absolutely no sign of letting up. These next clips come from a woman named Amanda, who resides in West Virginia with her husband and father-in-law. She claims that for some time now, unexplainable things have been taking place inside their home. One evening, while the three of them were gathered in the living room with the TV on, she pulled out her phone and hit record, determined to finally document what had been going on.
Some crazy stuff's been happening in my house. I'm trying to catch it on camera. The door shut like 5 minutes ago. I opened it back up. I'm gonna see if it'll do it again. Here we go. Oh shit. Oh my god, that was so crazy. I really didn't think it was gonna happen like that on cue. Jesus. Oh god. Why is my camera glitching out? Oh, that tends to happen when you get close to stuff, I guess. Okay, I just want to show you guys that no one's in here. No one's here but us. This is a closet. Let me try to turn the light on so you guys can see. Like, there's nothing in here, nobody in here. Like, what the fuck? Nobody under a bed. You can't see nothing. Ah! Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh my god. What the fuck? And guys, I know my father-in-law did not just shut that fucking door. He's like 60 some years old, guys. Like, this stuff. And this is his bedroom, and he's scared to death. Like, he's been sleeping on the couch. And my brother's been sleeping in his bed. But this is crazy. What the fuck? I don't know.
The door suddenly slammed itself shut with nobody anywhere near it. Amanda noted that this was far from an isolated incident. It had already happened several times that same night, which was precisely what motivated her to start filming. After watching it repeat itself again and again, she didn't know what to make of it and began seriously considering getting the house blessed. But the activity didn't end there.
Me and Pops right now. It's starting to happen again. I wanted to catch it. My old man's at work. Nothing. Nobody is in here. Like, what the fuck? Alright guys, I'm gonna show you. Let me see if I can get my damn. And there's no way out of my house. This is the only door. This door and my back door, which is back there. Fuck, I don't know how to get a flat, or, hold on. Guys, I'm just have to come in here and turn the light on. Okay. So I just wanna find the damn light. Hold on, guys. Prove no one is in here. Like, what the fuck is going on? No one's in here, right? Shower. Open the shower and show you. Bathroom. Bathroom. No one's... Oh, shit. The door just slammed shut again. What was it, Tootsie? What is it, Toot Toot? Something slammed the door on you, buddy? Come here. Where you going? Okay. Anyway, this is a closet. Oh, I can't even open the door on this. I'll get it open. Hold on. This is my closet. Please excuse me. Vern, are you fucking with that door?
Amanda.
Oh my god. What the fuck, dude?
I don't know.
Now's the time to get a good deal on taking care of your property.
Nothing. Nothing. Like, oh, let me go back here to this closet and show you. Ain't nobody in here. It's a bunch of bags. Like, there's nothing fucking here. Let me open this. What the fuck?
Something keeps shutting that door.
No one here, guys. Just me and Pops. What the fuck? And the dogs, obviously. Hey, Daisy. What's going on, crazy?
She also reported that her dog started behaving very strangely, retreating under the bed, something they had never done before. She later confirmed she was moving forward with plans to have the home blessed, in hopes that it would put a stop to whatever was behind all of this. So, what's your take? Is there genuinely something paranormal at work in Amanda's house, or is there a more rational explanation? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Number 1. Travel with them. The Parallax is a content creator who also documents his life on the road, living out of a custom-built van equipped with a bed and a full gaming setup. Safe to say, roughing it isn't really part of his vocabulary. One evening, after pulling into a parking lot for the night, he set up a camera on the outside of his van to monitor his surroundings while he got some rest. Several hours in, strange sounds coming from outside snapped him awake. Feeling a growing sense of dread, he pulled up the live camera feed to see what was going on, and what he found was nothing short of terrifying.
Nggak ada ya, aman ya. Di sini aman, oke? Kita coba lihat ke atas sebelum atas sebelah sananya. Atas mana? Atas tengah ini.
Bebas. Terserah kalian guys, mau pilih
yang mana? Tuh kan nggak ada.
Itu bro, stiker ya.
Ntar kita zoom.
Stiker itu.
Ini stiker atau apa sih? Ini mah manusia.
Stiker matamu.
Manusia jurik. Susulin jangan.
He took control of the camera, sweeping it left and right to scan the area. Then, as he slowly tilted it upward toward the building alongside him, something stopped him cold. Peering down from behind the upstairs railing was a pale face with glowing luminous eyes, fixed directly on the camera. What made it truly horrifying was how completely motionless it was. Not a flinch, not a blink, just those eyes locked onto the lens without wavering. His heart must have been absolutely pounding. Then, without any warning, the ghostly figure silently slid behind a wall and disappeared from view. He was left shaken and at a loss for what he'd just witnessed, and it goes without saying that a good night's sleep was completely off the table after that. Dustin is convinced something sinister has been following him for years. Wherever he travels, unsettling figures seem to appear, shadows that move independently of his own, voices whispering his name in rooms where no one else exists, and a persistent, bone-deep sense that he is never truly alone. One overnight shift at his job pushed things to a new level.
First off, the lights are not supposed to be on in here. Secondly, this one was flashing right before I started recording. Are you good? What the
Lights that had no business being on suddenly illuminated, one of them strobing erratically as though responding to him walking past. When Dustin went back through the security footage afterward, viewers spotted a faint silhouette lurking near the exit sign, and some claimed they could make out a voice softly saying the word, "Leave." Back at his house, the disturbances continued. While recording what should have been a completely mundane clip, a knife slid across the kitchen counter without anyone touching it. Replaying the footage, a low, ragged voice is audible in the seconds just before it moves.
Because I'm out, but got it. But okay. So this is it. It's pretty good. This is probably just because the microwave was like higher than normal, maybe? I don't.
That single moment rattled him to his core. He describes objects repositioning themselves when the room is empty, and the sound of footsteps drifting through halls with nobody in them deep into the night. He's exhausted every option he can think of: prayer, cleansing ceremonies, protective talismans. None of it has made a difference. Whatever has latched onto him appears to be gaining strength, as if his attempts to drive it away are only making it angrier. And now, the feeling of being watched has followed him beyond his front door.
I came out to my car to get, Nuke. Please tell me you heard that.
Single day, thousands of commuters pass over the Brooklyn Bridge without sparing a second glance at the massive suspension cables towering above them. For most people, those cables are just another piece of the city's familiar backdrop. But one evening, they became the center of everyone's attention. As traffic flowed between Manhattan and Brooklyn, multiple witnesses looked upward and noticed a woman scaling the bridge's suspension cables, climbing steadily until she reached an elevated point and stopped. From the ground, bystanders were essentially helpless, and emergency calls began flooding into dispatchers almost immediately. Police officers arrived on scene within minutes, and it became clear right away that a standard roadway rescue wasn't going to cut it. Getting to the woman meant going up the bridge. Officers from the NYPD's emergency service unit strapped into harnesses, attached themselves to the cables, and started the ascent. The climb was slow and methodical. Every single step had to be intentional, both to keep the officers themselves safe and to avoid escalating an already fragile situation. Their body cameras captured everything that followed. When the first officer finally made it to the woman, he didn't bark instructions or issue warnings. He introduced himself. "My name is Chris. What's your name?" A straightforward question, but it shaped everything that came after.
Everything that followed.
My name is Chris.
Rather than pushing the interaction forward, the officers prioritized earning her trust. They wanted her to feel that she wasn't alone up there, and that their only goal was to help. The conversation stayed measured and steady, with the team gently encouraging her to keep talking and reminding her that support was within reach. That exchange stretched on for nearly an hour. Down on the bridge deck, one of New York City's most heavily trafficked crossings had ground to a complete halt. Drivers sat motionless, onlookers watched from a distance, and while nobody could be certain how things would unfold, it was obvious to everyone present that this was something far beyond an ordinary emergency call. As the light continued to drop, conditions grew harder. The officer stayed clipped to the cables, suspended high over the East River, keeping close watch on every shift in her body language. There was no margin for panic and almost none for mistakes. Everything hinged on patience. Instead of forcing a resolution, the team held their ground, kept talking, kept reassuring her, and waited for the moment to present itself. Then, after nearly an hour in the air, that moment finally arrived. One officer got close enough to wrap a firm hold around her and carefully steer her back from the edge. The rest of the team moved in immediately, helping guide everyone back along the cables to a secure location. The woman was brought down safely, with no injuries reported, and was subsequently transported to a nearby hospital for evaluation. Authorities confirmed no arrests were made, and officials have not disclosed further details about the circumstances surrounding the incident. Police later shared one additional detail that gave the rescue an even more striking dimension. The officer, whose calm voice carries through so much of that body camera footage, had only completed his emergency service unit training the week before. Despite being freshly certified, he leaned on the same principles that seasoned crisis responders consistently point to. Lead with listening, stay composed, and treat the person in front of you with genuine respect. The footage has since been watched by millions of people, and what lingers isn't the dizzying height of the bridge, but the quiet, unhurried conversation that took place far above the city. A US Army veteran has been posting some deeply unsettling footage to his social media accounts. Ever since March of this year, he's been living through a series of frightening incidents inside his own home. It began with a nauseating odor of decay rising up from his basement. As things grew more intense and his dog started behaving with extreme anxiety, he made the decision to set up security cameras throughout the house to get some answers. We're going to walk you through 3 clips from that footage. And fair warning, they are genuinely spine-chilling.
He's been doing this weird shit all day. What's wrong, Joe? There's nothing in there for you, buddy. Come on. Joe.
You can watch his dog completely locked onto the closed basement door, barking and refusing to look away, as though it can sense something waiting just beyond it. But as Nuke himself points out, did you catch that? While both he and the dog are focused on the door, shift your eyes to the dining table in the back of the frame. A cup begins slowly moving across the surface on its own before toppling completely off the edge. What makes this so hard to dismiss is the direction it falls. To the left, rather than straight toward the camera, which rules out the obvious explanation of a string or wire being used to fake it. Here the homeowner is attempting to let his dog out of the house. He mentions that the dog normally races him to the door, but on this occasion it's completely frozen in place, eyes locked on that same basement door as before. He actually has to pull out treats just to coax the animal into moving. Then, as the two of them finally head outside, a book launches violently off a shelf in the now empty room. Zooming into the footage reveals no visible wires or rigging of any kind. What takes this from creepy to truly disturbing is the identity of that book. It's the Holy Bible. That detail sent the comment section into overdrive, with many viewers becoming convinced that whatever's in this home is something demonic, and the final clip seems to lend that theory some serious weight. In this last and perhaps most shocking recording, that same Bible is sitting undisturbed on a table. Then, without any warning, what look like small bursts of flame begin appearing and flickering out of the completely shut book. When you zoom in for a closer look, the fire appears wrong in a way that's difficult to explain. Viewers flooded the comments urging him to open the book, with some theorizing that it could be a dark grimoire concealed behind a Bible cover. Between the overwhelming stench of rot, a dog paralyzed with dread, and a Bible that appears to spontaneously ignite, this veteran may be dealing with something far more sinister than a typical haunting. So, what do you think is really happening here? A man by the name of Nolan Brock uploaded a clip to his social media account in February 2023 featuring home security footage recorded inside his own living room. Nolan explained that he had dozed off on the couch without realizing it, and when he went back to review the recording afterward, what he saw left him genuinely shaken. See for yourself what his camera picked up. Right away, unsettling sounds can be heard near the doors as they begin drifting open on their own. Nolan stirs briefly, glances around the room, and then drifts back to sleep. A little while later, the footage jumps forward to another moment, and once again Nolan is out cold on the couch. Without any warning, one of the doors crashes shut with serious force, jolting him awake in a panic. What makes this footage particularly creepy is the slow, drawn-out tension leading up to that moment. The doors don't just fly shut out of nowhere, they shift gradually over time before the sudden violent slam finally hits. That slow build is exactly what had so many viewers convinced they were looking at something paranormal. Now, a rational explanation isn't entirely off the table. Air pressure, a draft, or something happening just outside the frame could all theoretically be responsible. But even with those possibilities in mind, the way those doors move and ultimately slam still looks deeply unnatural. So where do you land on this one? A brush with the supernatural, or just a weird chain of coincidences? On October 4th, 2025, a woman named Misty N. Adams posted security camera footage showing something she simply cannot explain, captured right outside her own home. It's 9:44 p.m. and Misty says her son had just been over at a friend's place and was making his way back to the house. Right as he was coming up the path, Misty got a motion alert ping on her phone from one of her outdoor cameras, and when she checked the feed, she saw something that made absolutely no sense. The night vision footage reveals a dark figure cutting across the yard, and viewers have been quick to note just how defined the shape looks and the speed at which it moves. Then a second camera angle comes into play, showing Misty's son walking toward the front of the house, completely oblivious to whatever appears to be trailing right behind him. Now here's the part that really gets under your skin. That second camera, which should have picked up the same thing, recorded absolutely nothing. The object only showed up on the infrared night vision camera, nothing else caught it. Misty also flags a strange sound that happens at the exact moment the shape crosses the screen. She's gone back through the footage again and again, and still has no explanation. The fact that only one camera detected it has led both Misty and the people watching to believe that what was captured here might not be from this world. For the past week, a man named Lenrito has been living through experiences that simply cannot be explained. It started with sounds, shuang, subtle enough to dismiss as the house settling or noise drifting in from outside, but those sounds grew in frequency and intensity, eventually turning his nights into something out of a nightmare.
¿Quién sos? Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, santificado sea tu nombre. No sos bienvenido, andate. Andate. Me tenés cansado, mostrate. No te voy a tener miedo.
There, in the dark, the bathroom door becomes the focal point of something deeply unsettling. The handle rattles with force, as though something unseen is desperate to get through. Then, without any warning, the door drifts open on its own, revealing nothing but pitch blackness on the other side. Lenrito steels himself and goes in to look around, but finds absolutely no trace of anyone. The situation escalates further when we discover that he decided to set up a camera in his bedroom, determined to catch whatever was behind these disturbances.
¡Sos hijo de puta!
Everything appears calm at first, Lenrito fast asleep in his bed, but that stillness is shattered the moment the bathroom door flies open on its own. He jolts awake, visibly unsettled. When he goes to check the bathroom, the shower curtain shifts, as if something, or someone, is crouched behind it, yet he finds nothing there. Then, just as he exits the room, a dark figure darts out of frame, leaving the whole incident even harder to explain. It's clear that Lenrito is up against something that goes well beyond a simple case of an overactive imagination. He's even turned to spiritual guidance, seeking a blessing for his home in the hope of finally putting these terrifying nights to rest. Though whether that brings him peace, or whether things are only going to get stranger, remains to be seen. This next clip comes from a security camera in Peru, at a location built around an old well that locals claim is haunted. Late one night, the guards on duty heard unusual noises coming from the direction of the well and headed outside to check it out, but found no sign of anybody. It wasn't until they pulled up the security footage that they came face to face with something truly shocking and hard to believe.
Uy, ya paró. ¡Puta huevo! Invisible,
Initially, what appears to be a human figure is visible sitting beside the well, before it shifts and turns translucent, seemingly peering down into the depths below. Shortly after, a second semi-transparent shape materializes and drifts away from the well entirely.
Uy, ya paró. ¡Puta huevo! Invisible,
Ever since it surfaced, this footage has been regarded as one of the most convincing pieces of evidence ever captured of an actual ghost appearing on camera. Jason Barber of Salisbury, North Carolina is returning home after a long day at work when he gets hit with the kind of shock that stops your heart cold. A gray snake is coiled along the frame of his front door and strikes out the moment he gets close. Fortunately, it misses its mark, and the culprit turns out to be a non-venomous black rat snake. Still, there's a real lesson buried in this moment. If you roll up to your house and your cat is planted at the entrance, staring and crying at nothing, maybe pause and do a little investigating before you reach for that door handle. Now here's another run-in that'll make your skin crawl just as fast. A couple moves an old step stool out of the way and discovers a massive snake tucked underneath a box sitting right there in front of it. They bolt immediately, their puppy scrambling right along with them. But that little dog has zero interest in leaving his toy behind, so he spins right back around and snatches it away without a second thought. Snake or no snake, that pup was not about to let anything come between him and his stuff. A chilling piece of found footage horror surfaced online, purportedly showing the last recording ever made by two hikers who disappeared somewhere in Mount Hood National Forest. The post accompanying it claimed the video had been recovered from their belongings several years after they went missing. It has since been exposed as a fabrication, but that knowledge does little to shake the unease it produces. The footage opens with someone sprinting through a dark forest, their breathing ragged and desperate, as if something lurking just beyond the frame is closing in behind them. Judge for yourself what this recording actually shows. Through most of the video, nothing concrete is ever revealed about what the person is fleeing. Just trees, snapping branches, and a camera lurching violently through the blackness. But toward the very end, the person suddenly wheels around to face the woods behind them, and that single moment is where everything shifts. There, half hidden among the tree trunks, stands a pale, vaguely human shape. Its face is an almost luminous white, its mouth gapes open, and its entire form seems to dissolve into the surrounding dark. For just a handful of seconds, it appears to be looking straight at the camera before the footage cuts out without warning, leaving behind zero answers about whatever was supposedly pursuing those hikers. To be clear, this has been labeled a deliberate hoax, almost certainly produced as an internet horror project. But as a piece of found footage filmmaking, it succeeds precisely because of what it withholds. A frantic camera, an endless dark forest, and something pale and silent standing motionless between the trees. So is this nothing more than a clever staged scare built for online audiences, or does it linger just long enough to make you genuinely uneasy about what might be standing out there in the woods once the light disappears? A Reddit user going by the handle Runs with Scissors uploaded a clip to his account several months back featuring home security footage recorded late at night at the front of his property. Things start out completely unremarkable. The scene looks calm and still, just another quiet evening, but it doesn't stay that way for long. Right about at this point, the gate at the entrance to the porch swings open on its own before eventually shutting again. What makes this particularly noteworthy is that the person who posted the video claims the gate is fitted with a latch that has to be manually disengaged before the gate can open at all. And if that weren't enough, a porch swing also begins moving by itself shortly after, accompanied by some strange sounds coming from somewhere off in the distance. It's really the combination of all three elements, the gate, the swing, and those unexplained noises, that has so many people scratching their heads over what exactly was going on outside that house. Now, certain aspects of this could potentially have a rational explanation, but if the uploader's claim about the latch is accurate, that one detail makes the whole thing a lot harder to dismiss. It's not difficult to understand why the homeowner was rattled after pulling up this footage. So, where do you stand on this one? Was something invisible moving through that property? Or is there a perfectly reasonable explanation hiding in plain sight? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Our next piece of surveillance footage comes from a property in Peru, home to an old well that people in the area have long claimed is cursed. Late one evening, security guards on duty began hearing unusual sounds coming from that direction and headed out to check it out, but turned up nothing out of the ordinary. It was only when they pulled up the security footage afterward that they realized something was deeply wrong.
Uy, ya paró. Puto huevo. Invisible, así no encontrar.
At first glance, the recording seems to show what looks like a person seated close to the well. Within moments, the figure appears to turn partially see-through before seemingly peering down into the well's opening. Not long after, a second shadowy shape materializes and drifts away from the scene.
Uy, ya paró. Puto huevo. Invisible, así no encontrar.
Plenty of people who've watched this footage have called it among the most believable ghost recordings ever captured, though a number of skeptics insist there could still be a rational explanation behind it. The following video was recorded by a man inside his own home during the day, and from the first second, you can tell something has already happened before he even hits record. He's visibly shaken, breathing hard, phone in hand, urging anyone watching to just listen. A series of high-pitched sounds, almost like small animal yips, are coming from behind a closed door at the end of a hallway. But that's not what has him frozen. Something else caught his attention first. He calls out a name, gets no answer, and then a sound stops him cold. Watch.
Oh my gosh, listen to this. Listen. Listen. Yo. Carolina! Oh! Molly, come here! She's in the other room. Oh my gosh. Hey, who's up here? Hey, who is up here? Oh my god. Yo! Oh my gosh, man. What was that? Yo. What? I have never had that happen before, ever. Oh my gosh! Dude! Ah! No way! In God's grace!
That voice, soft, clear, distinctly female or childlike, simply says hello in an empty house, in broad daylight. He doesn't brush it off. He opens the door, climbs a steep wooden staircase into an unlit attic, and calls out asking who's there, knowing full well he shouldn't be getting an answer. What he gets instead is worse. A soft whisper in the dark makes him physically flinch, and then a loud, sharp thump sends him screaming down the stairs and out of the attic entirely. He even includes a text note in the video explaining the footage wasn't cut when he opened the door, which tells you he knew people would ask. Some viewers think the voice is a residual sound, a kind of audio imprint left behind by someone who once lived there. The idea that certain spaces hold onto fragments of the people who passed through them. Others aren't so sure. A disembodied voice that responds to your presence, that greets you, suggests something far more aware than a simple echo. Residual hauntings don't say hello back. Whatever spoke to him in that hallway seemed to know he was there, and then followed him upstairs to make sure he knew it too. The following video was recorded by a woman who was alone in her room late at night, doing nothing more than lying in bed with her back to the window, the kind of ordinary evening that shouldn't leave anyone shaking. But something outside began making itself known, and whatever it was, it didn't want to be ignored. She had her phone propped up and recording when she first noticed a dark, smudged shape visible through the white cellular blind behind her. Faint, amorphous, but with an outline that looked unsettlingly close to a hand pressed flat against the glass from outside. She tried to pretend she didn't see it. Watch. The shape disappears abruptly from the blind, and almost immediately, 3 loud, distinct taps come from the window, hard enough to make her gasp. She whispers to herself, trying to stay calm, repeating that it's okay. It didn't stop. When she goes quiet and tries to ignore it entirely, the tapping comes again, identical in rhythm and force to the first set, as if whatever was out there knew she was still listening. Then a long, grinding scrape follows. A dragging, creaking sound that lasts nearly 10 seconds and has no obvious source. Her composure breaks completely. She's crying, whispering stop over and over, and the raw fear in her voice is hard to dismiss. Some viewers think the tapping and scraping point to something deliberately interactive, not random noise, but a response to her behavior, escalating each time she went quiet. Others aren't so sure, but the pattern is difficult to explain away, and she left her phone recording for another hour afterward. Nothing else happened that night. The following night, it came back. Watch.
No. Okay. It's back. It has never done this 2 nights in a row. Ugh. You were telling me to go yell at it and to look. Okay. Okay. I stole this bar light from my mom. You wanna mess with me? Fine. I'll do what you look like. There's a light facing the window. Nothing's there. You heard the tapping, right? Oh my god. Nope. Nope.
Reports like this often appear in paranormal case files as responsive phenomena. instances where unexplained activity seems to intensify the moment someone acknowledges it or attempts to investigate. In folklore, repeated knocking or tapping at windows is sometimes interpreted as an unseen presence trying to draw attention or gain a response, particularly when no source can be found outside. Of course, there are ordinary possibilities too. Small animals, shifting materials, or sounds echoing through an enclosed window well can sometimes create surprisingly loud knocks, but I'll leave you to be the judge of this one. Now in this next clip, a woman is asleep in a recliner at around 2:30 in the morning while a security camera watches over the living room, and that's when something decides to make itself known. The house has apparently had activity before, enough that whoever set up that camera was already expecting something. Watch.
So this is like the Dr. Jail world. Crazy house. Okay. This is like the Amityville house. So this is like the Dr. Jail world. This is the
A hat resting on the newel post at the base of the staircase suddenly tips and falls to the floor. No breeze, no one nearby, no visible explanation. Anthony's reaction is immediate, calling out that something's fallen before he even sees the replay. Skeptics will point to a thin string or a loose balance, but if you watch the slow motion replay closely, the hat doesn't slide. It tips, almost deliberately, like something nudged it. Some viewers think this is exactly the kind of low-level activity associated with a presence that wants to be noticed rather than feared. So, what do you think that was? Now, in this next clip, a young girl is standing in her family's living room at night, clutching a gray blanket, and what she's describing to the woman filming her is hard to shake. The Christmas stockings are still on the banister, the tablet's playing a cartoon in the background. It's an ordinary evening in every way except one. She'd just seen something. Watch.
What did you say? What was it?
It was a black thing.
How? Well, it wasn't the cat? Was it the cat? You saw it just now? When did you see it? The size of Daddy? Just now you saw that? It acted like you? What did it look like?
It's the same kind of deal, but it just looks longer.
Hold it.
In her own words, she describes a black figure, way bigger than the family cat, the size of her dad, but longer. And her expression while she says it is what gets people. She's not performing. She's scanning the room between every answer, glancing toward a doorway just off camera, and at the very end, she pulls the blanket up to her face and whispers, barely audible, "It's still going." No figure appears on camera. Nothing moves, but if you watch her eyes track that doorway, it becomes very difficult to tell yourself she's imagining it. So what exactly did she see? This next video was recorded inside what appears to be a hospital CCU, a coronary care unit. Filmed at night from what looks like a nurse's station, the camera pointed through an open doorway into a dark, unoccupied room. According to whoever filmed this, the sight on the other side was enough to stop them cold. The room is empty. No patient, no staff. But the electronic hospital bed inside is raised to an almost completely vertical angle, its control panel glowing blue, an amber light pulsing steadily near the floor. Watch. That bed position isn't a resting state. It's the kind of angle you'd only see during an active procedure, not sitting untouched in an empty room in the middle of the night. If you look at the lights beneath the frame, they suggest the bed's systems are running, as though it responded to something no camera could pick up. Some viewers think a bed malfunction or a forgotten setting explains it. Others aren't so sure. Hospital equipment that activates on its own, in an empty room at that hour, is harder to walk away from. What do you think was in that room? This next clip was recorded late at night by a man who came downstairs for a glass of water, a completely ordinary moment that quickly became anything but. Standing in his dimly lit kitchen, filming from behind a tall shelving unit packed with glasses and mugs, he starts hearing something that stops him cold. A steady, rhythmic knocking, clear and deliberate, coming from the door that leads directly into his tattoo studio. He explains in a hushed, uneasy voice that the door doesn't connect to the street at all. It opens into a closed, private workspace. There's no reason anyone should be on the other side. Listen closely.
Bajé a tomarme un poco de agua y empecé a escuchar claramente cómo están tocando la puerta de enfrente. Esa puerta no da con la calle, esa puerta da a donde yo hago los tatuajes, al negocio. Y si están tocando no hay nadie, Igual también escuché ruidos aquí, pero no alcancé a grabarlos.
Some believe this kind of rhythmic knocking, tied to a specific closed-off space, points to a residual presence, energy that doesn't know it no longer belongs there. Others think it's something more aware, and the fact that it stopped when he walked away, then started again when he returned, makes the second theory harder to dismiss. This next clip comes from inside a home in Brazil, where a group of people are gathered in a sparse, concrete-floored room lit by a single overhead bulb, the kind of setting that leaves nowhere for anything to hide. A man is holding a smartphone to film, and from the very first second of the recording, the voices in the room are already panicked. Women shouting in Portuguese, screaming, "What is this? The things are moving," and "rebuke it." Words that suggest whatever started this had already been going on before the camera began rolling. The room is simple. A stove against the back wall, a small fan on a plastic stool, a bucket and a bag of produce sitting in the corner. Nothing should be moving on its own. Watch. In under 30 seconds, the oven door swings open with no one near it. A long-handled tool falls from the wall, and then the bucket, the bag, and the fan are violently thrown from the corner into the center of the room. Not knocked, not tipped, but thrown. Then the propane gas canister slides several feet across the bare concrete floor on its own. The camera whips around to show a young woman with long dark hair crying hysterically, her face completely overtaken by terror, while another person holds a second phone up to film her reaction. The word poltergeist gets used casually online, but in serious paranormal research, it describes something very specific, a phenomenon defined not by a haunting tied to a place, but by chaotic, violent physical disturbance, often centered around a particular person rather than a location. Some researchers believe the person at the center is unknowingly generating the energy themselves, a kind of psychic discharge, while others believe something external is drawn to them. Brazil's own folklore has its own framework for this kind of chaos. Entities like the corpo seco, a restless force that refuses to be still. Whether any of that applies here, what you can't explain away so easily is the propane canister. It's heavy, it slid, and nothing in that room was anywhere near it. The following video was shared by a woman who's genuinely searching for answers, hoping that someone out there might recognize the signs of what she's dealing with. For a while now, she's noticed a very specific and unsettling pattern involving her dog. Almost every single day, around the same time, her 6-month-old puppy suddenly starts barking intensely at one exact direction in the house. Not just casual barking, but focused, alert, almost defensive barking. What makes this strange is that about 5 minutes later, he suddenly stops, goes completely quiet, and then immediately looks around for her as if checking whether she noticed it too. This routine has repeated itself night after night, always the same direction, always the same behavior. One evening, she was sitting calmly when her dog climbed onto her lap, chewing on a bone, relaxed and content. Suddenly, this happened. Some believe he could be reacting to subtle sounds we can't hear, like changes in air pressure, pipes, or even wildlife outside the walls. But others weren't convinced, especially because of how consistent the timing is and how focused his attention seems to be. As for solutions, viewers offered a wide range of ideas. Some advised checking the space thoroughly for logical explanations, vents, rodents, or structural noises, just to rule them out. A few suggested cleansing the space, whether spiritually or simply by changing the energy in the room, while many stressed one thing above all else: pay attention to the dog. Because whatever he's reacting to it every night, at the same time, in the same place. And until she figures out why, this situation remains deeply unsettling and very much unexplained. This next clip was recorded inside Selma Mansion in Norristown, Pennsylvania, a location that many locals already avoid after dark. The mansion has long been surrounded by rumors, stories of former residents who never really left, reports of unexplained footsteps echoing through empty hallways, doors slamming on their own, and voices heard coming from rooms no one has entered in years. Some say the upper floors are the worst, especially the 3rd floor, where people claim the air suddenly feels heavier and breathing becomes difficult for no reason. On March 29, 2025, a group of urban explorers decided to investigate the mansion for themselves. Despite knowing its reputation, they went in prepared, setting up multiple cameras throughout the house before settling in for the night. While placing equipment in other areas of the mansion, a loud bang suddenly echoed through the building, sharp enough to stop everyone in their tracks. When they checked the footage, they realized the sound came from the bathroom on the 3rd floor, where one of the cameras had been left running. Watch closely. Skeptics argued it could be old pipes, structural shifts, or even wind, but that explanation doesn't easily account for the voice, the pacing of the footsteps, or the very human-sounding breath caught on audio. And considering this happened on the 3rd floor, an area already known for activity, many believe the explorers may have wandered into a space where whatever lingers there doesn't like being watched. So, was this just the mansion settling? Or did Selma Mansion make it very clear that they weren't alone that night? You decide. In this next video, a man believes he's being tormented by something far more sinister than a simple haunting, something he's convinced is a demon living inside his home. And honestly, after seeing everything he's documented, it's hard not to understand why he feels that way. For months now, he says he'll leave the house for work or errands, only to return and find it completely trashed. Tables flipped upside down, chairs thrown across rooms, kitchen equipment scattered across the floor as if someone deliberately went through the house in a rage. One night, while recording a video to explain what he's been experiencing, things suddenly escalated. Watch this.
Guys, so it's been very horrible. I have been experiencing some non-stop shit. You gotta be kidding me. What the shit? What the is that sound? What the Did I know they not just move? I know that they not just move, y'all. Shit! Oh shit! In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask every demon to leave my house immediately. Immediately. I want every demon to leave this house immediately. Immediately. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Leave my house now. The was that? I swear to God, and guys, this is crazy. Swear to God. What the shit! Holy shit! Oh shit! Holy shit! Holy I'm getting the out of here. Oh shit!
This isn't subtle movement or quiet noises in the background. When something moves, it moves hard. If it rocks a chair, it does so violently. If it rattles a door, it slams and shakes it with force. Viewers quickly began weighing in with their theories. Some believe this could be a case of a highly aggressive poltergeist feeding off fear and emotional stress. Others argue that the destructive nature, the escalation, and the way the activity responds directly to him speaking points to something darker, possibly a demonic attachment rather than a spirit tied to the house itself. As for solutions, people urged him to stop engaging altogether, to avoid provoking whatever it is. Some warned that labeling it a demon could make things worse, but others believe he may already be past that point. So what do you think? Is this truly a demon, or is there another explanation behind the violence in his home? Now, doll collectors are often misunderstood. To most people, collecting dolls sounds harmless, nostalgic, even comforting. But what many don't realize is that some collectors actively seek out dolls with history. Dolls that were loved intensely, abandoned suddenly, passed through multiple owners, or tied to trauma. In this clip, a woman who openly documents her collection of dolls with deep and unsettling backstories shares what happened after acquiring a particularly infamous one. The doll is known as Raggedy Ann Janet, located in the UK and already surrounded by disturbing rumors long before she ever laid eyes on it. Previous owners had reportedly complained about unexplained noises, objects shifting, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched, especially at night. Despite the warnings, she felt drawn to Janet and eventually brought the doll into her home. Almost immediately, she began noticing classic poltergeist-style activity. Objects would move without explanation. Doors creaked open on their own, and the most unsettling part, these events didn't feel random. They felt deliberate, as if something was testing boundaries, pushing limits, and making its presence known. Despite knowing all these, she wanted to confirm.
So Janet's been with us for a few days. Bobby's dropped her off. A few things have been moving around this room lately. Janet, is it you that's doing it? Oh my
God, thank you.
For her, the signs were enough. Janet wasn't just another piece in her collection. Something about this doll felt active, aware, and intrusive. And now the question remains, is Janet simply an object carrying residual energy from past owners? Or did bringing her home invite something that was never meant to follow? Either way, the activity surrounding this doll has left viewers deeply unsettled. And until more updates are shared, this case continues to raise an uncomfortable question about how much of the past we unknowingly invite into our homes. This next video is an update from the same man who previously shared how everything in his apartment changed the moment he brought a set of old toys home. Watch closely.
Se sigue escuchando, la verdad ya no soporto estar aquí. Ya no aguanto. ¿Qué será? No hay nada, raza. Esto ya se está saliendo de control, raza. Ya no puedo estar aquí, raza.
As he moves through the apartment trying to locate the source of the noise, a figure is briefly caught on camera. Even though something in him feels like the toys are connected, he wants clearer proof, something undeniable. But viewers say the signs have been there all along. For example, take a look at one of the nights he couldn't sleep at all.
Raza, son las 3 de la mañana, se siguen escuchando muchos ruidos allá afuera. Quieren abrir la puerta, raza. ¿Qué está pasando? Ay, Dios mío. Ay, Dios mío, líbrame del mal. Desde que compré ese espejo, raza. Ay.
What worries him the most is that whatever's in his apartment doesn't seem anchored to a single location. It chooses different areas, almost like it's rotating spots. One night, it was his bedroom. Watch.
Se escucha que están rasguñando abajo de la cama. No hay nadie, raza, a la madre. ¿Qué rollo? ¿Qué está pasando?
Something was scratching under his bed, and while some suggested the mirror near his bed could be acting as a trigger, that theory started to fall apart after this next clip surfaced.
Quieren prender la luz, raza. Esto está saliendo de control, raza. No se escucha que le pegan al tanque allá afuera. Esto se está saliendo mucho de control, raza. No sé qué está pasando, la verdad, raza. Pero a ese tanque le pegan. Ya es el segundo día desde que están pasando estas cosas y alguien que me pueda ayudar, déjenme en los comentarios, por favor. Gente, esto ya se salió de control, gente. Ya no puedo más aquí, gente. Ayuda. ¿Qué quieres? Déjenme en paz. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Quién eres? ¿Quién eres? ¿Qué quieres?
At this point, the activity is no longer subtle. The voice he hears at night is clearer and deeply unsettling. He's reached the point where he locks himself in one part of the apartment at night, afraid of what he might encounter if he walks into another room. And what makes this even more disturbing is the pattern. Whatever's in the apartment seems to choose where it stays. For days, it stayed in the kitchen, then it shifted to the laundry room. Now, it appears to have claimed the bathroom.
Están tocando la puerta del baño. Desde que compré este espejo están pasando todas las cosas. Mamá.
He's asking for help, desperately, but most viewers are saying the answer is already right in front of him. Get rid of the dolls. But is it really that simple? Are the dolls the source? Or are they just vessels for something that was already looking for a way in? In this next clip, a woman named Haley set out on what was supposed to be a calm, grounding escape into the Appalachian wilderness, a place known for its beauty, isolation, and deeply rooted folklore. But not long into her walk, something felt off.
I just realized this is like the perfect place to come and sit and smoke. Cause look at this. Nothing. Come on. Sit right here. Hell yeah. This is my view. Y'all. A cigarette right now. I don't even smoke cigarettes. But it warm you up, you know? I'm cold. I felt like there's somebody behind me, but so this is as close as I'm going to get, but y'all can see it's like angled and it goes into the mountain. It doesn't look like it, but it's a little bit more deeper here. My feet would get wet, and these shoes, yeah, no, and it's cold. But yeah, I'm about to head out of here because my feelings been, I don't know, it don't feel right now. But yeah, I don't have service. No, this is the worst part about exploring here is when you get like that when you get the feeling that you're being watched or followed. You can't, it's a little bit of a ways to get back to where you came from. Over there.
If you listen carefully, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Hey." What makes this moment especially unsettling is that the voice sounds disturbingly similar to Haley's own. At the time she was recording, she didn't hear it at all. Instead, what she felt was something harder to ignore, a sudden sensation that someone was standing directly behind her. In paranormal folklore, especially in Appalachian legends, encounters like this are often linked to something known as a mimic, entities said to imitate human voices to lure people into responding. That's why many believe the worst thing you can do in situations like this is acknowledge the voice, especially out loud. Responding is believed to give whatever's their permission, or at the very least confirmation that you heard it. Some say mimics rely on familiarity, using your own voice or the voice of someone you trust to lower your guard. Others believe they test boundaries first, watching how you react before escalating, and then there are those who think these encounters aren't meant to chase you, but to mark you. So was this just an audio coincidence paired with anxiety in an isolated place? Or did Haley narrowly avoid something far more disturbing by trusting her instincts and leaving when she did? I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. The following video was recorded by a young man who, by the time he started filming, already knew something was deeply wrong. You can hear it in the first words out of his mouth, that shaky, nervous admission that everything was going downhill fast. He's inside a bathroom, holding his camera, the warm light catching the walls and the towel rack and the mirror like any ordinary room. Except he's moving the camera like someone who doesn't know where the threat is coming from, which direction to watch, what to prepare for. He even says he needs to find a weapon. That alone tells you everything about the state he's in. Watch.
I don't know what's going on, but like, everything's going downhill. I need to find a weapon. No, 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 no! Get away! No! Get away! Get! No! No!
Just before the lights suddenly cut out, a figure appears to peek for a few seconds. Then everything goes dark. Almost immediately, the knocking starts, then a rapid series of heavy blows, as though someone, or something, is trying to force its way inside. Some viewers believe the peeking figure could have been another person in the house, briefly caught by the camera before stepping away, while the knocking may have come from a family member or someone outside the room. Others focused on the sequence of events instead. The figure appears, the lights fail, then the knocking begins. In paranormal folklore, doorways have long been regarded as thresholds, places of transition where encounters are said to occur more frequently than in open spaces. Whether symbolic or purely coincidental, many stories describe unexplained figures lingering at entrances before making their presence known through knocks, taps, or other attempts to draw attention. Whether this was an elaborate prank, an unfortunate coincidence, or something far more unsettling remains impossible to prove. In this next clip, a man inside what appears to be a residential space has been dealing with something he describes as a haunting, and on this particular night, whatever's been following his household made itself impossible to ignore. Watch.
Oi.
He pushes through into a dark, unfinished room and then out into an even darker space, the camera light sweeping wildly across bare concrete and cluttered walls, while that wailing never breaks, never shifts in tone, never reacts to his presence. Some viewers immediately pointed to La Llorona, a figure rooted in Latin American folklore, described as a weeping woman whose cries are said to draw people toward her rather than away. Others think the audio was layered in after the fact, noting how clean and consistent the sound is regardless of how far he moves. But if it's simply an effect, why secure the door with a nail? The following video was recorded by a woman who was home alone at night when she began hearing sounds she couldn't immediately explain. And what she captured on camera has left a lot of people genuinely unsettled. She's lying in bed in a dimly lit bedroom, smartphone in hand, when she mentions hearing something strange, possibly an owl outside. Watch.
Okay. I don't know if that was an owl. Or what that was. Why does this shit always happen when I'm home alone? You know what one of my fears is? Because this is the second floor, and somebody's gonna climb up that tree and like come in through this window, or like I just open up these curtains and there'll be somebody freaking staring at me. I can't deal. I'm fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. You look. You go out first. Is it good? The coast clear? Don't pee my pants, bro.
A deep, distorted male voice seems to come from somewhere inside the room itself. What makes the moment especially unsettling isn't just the voice, it's that the response almost sounds reassuring, as though whatever spoke wasn't simply making a noise, but reacting to what she just said. Some viewers believe the voice may have come from another room in the house, a nearby television, or even audio distortion caused by the phone's microphone. Low-light recordings can sometimes compress sound in unusual ways, making distant voices seem much closer than they actually are. But across several traditions, witnesses have warned against responding to unexplained voices heard in empty houses at night, believing that once something acknowledges you, and you acknowledge it in return, the encounter can escalate beyond simple noises. Whether this was a trick of acoustics, an unseen person elsewhere in the house, or something much harder to explain remains unknown. But one question has lingered with viewers ever since. If she really was home alone, who answered her? This next clip comes from a home security camera recording a kitchen in the middle of the night. No people, no pets, no movement of any kind. The house is quiet, the kitchen is empty, and a large watermelon is sitting near the edge of the counter, right where someone left it. Nothing happens for the first few seconds. Then something changes. Watch. The watermelon rolls forward on its own and tips off the counter, shattering on the floor. No one nearby, no cat jumping up, no vibration you can point to. It just moves. Some believe this is classic poltergeist activity, objects displaced by an unseen force with no mechanical explanation. Others think whatever is in that house wanted to be noticed. Either way, the kitchen stays completely still after, as if nothing happened at all. This next footage was captured by a security camera inside what appears to be a retail convenience store. The camera overlooks the rear cooler aisle with refrigerated drinks lining one wall, snack displays nearby, and a frozen slushy machine sitting quietly in the corner. Whoever reviewed the footage was simply checking the security recordings, never expecting to find anything unusual. Watch. For a brief moment, what appears to be a human hand seems to emerge from inside the slushy machine before disappearing again. According to the person who shared the footage, they tried to find a reasonable explanation first. They considered whether it could have been overflowing product, a loose internal component, or even a trick of the camera. But after replaying the clip repeatedly, they remained convinced it looked unmistakably like a human hand. What made the footage even stranger, they said, was the layout of the store. The wall directly behind the machine leads into a dining area, not another room where someone could secretly reach inside the equipment. And with the machine operating during business hours, the idea of someone placing a hand inside it without anyone noticing seems highly unlikely. Of course, skeptics argue that low-resolution security footage is notorious for creating convincing illusions. So was this nothing more than an unfortunate visual illusion? Or did the security camera capture something paranormal?